You know, when you have a show about gratitude, you've got to be grateful for your sponsors. And in our life of gratitude, you know, we all have guides. Somebody that guided us through our lives, that made us appreciate those things that we have. And that's why I'm so delighted and so grateful for our sponsor, Life Guides. Life Guides is a peer-to-peer community that helps people navigate through their day-to-day stressors by providing a place of empathy, listening, wisdom, and support with a guide who has walked in your shoes, experiencing the same challenge or life experience as you. A true life guide. And because you're listening to our gratitude podcast, if you go to their website, lifeguides.com/schedule a demo and add the code HEALTHY2021. The code is HEALTHY2021 in the free text box. You'll get 2 months of their services for free. 2 months for free. So sign up, show your team you care, get a life guide. Be grateful for those guides in your life, as I am grateful for our sponsor, Life Guides. Hey, welcome to Leading with Gratitude Live. I'm your host, Chester Elton, the apostle of appreciation, coming to you live and in color from the Gratitude Epicenter of the Universe, Summit, New Jersey. Delighted that you're taking some time to spend with us today. We love our gratitude community. Everything we're talking about is based on our best-selling book, Leading with Gratitude. You know, we always say, look, give us 30 minutes and we'll give you great information, great inspiration, and a roadmap to a life of gratitude at work and in your personal life. Now, brought to you by the amazing people at the Methods Network. We love our production team. If you're looking to do some amazing production, look no further than the Methods folks. Brent Klein, take a screenshot right here, 512-639-2120. He'll make you look like you're on CNN or Good Morning America, wherever you get your best news. You know, we love our international community. We've already got Wendy from Florida and Quindy from Morocco, Laura, who's moving to Atlanta. It's a great crew. Well, listen, I want to introduce to you our guest today. She's a new friend of the show. Her name is Laura Wilde. Let me tell you a little bit about Laura. She is extraordinary. You're going to get such a kick out of this show. Laura is a zone coach and holistic mental performance specialist for elite performers. Coach Laura is a thought leader in the field of holistic player development and holistic sports medicine. She works with elite athletes in the NCAA, WNBA, NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball. She works with staff and coaches, and she's also a partner with Turn 2 Equity Partners. Laura works in the emerging field of holistic mental performance. She is a quantum mind-body medicine practitioner, a meditation coach, mental resilience and consistency specialist, and is an advanced and certified practitioner of Quantum Healing Energy Network. Laura teaches sports energy medicine, resilient wellness, alpha zone, and intuition classes in person and on Zoom. Now, she is also an author. She has written The Cosmic Athlete, Quantum Sports Medicine, Making the Team, 64 Ways to Succeed in School, Sports, and Life, and The Map of Your Future. Her newest book, The Power of Intuition Intelligence, that she wrote with Enrico Melson, who's also an MD, it was released in December 2020, available at fine bookstores everywhere. Her life's purpose is to help athletes and others unleash their genius in a new and unique way. Welcome to the show, Laura. We are so excited to have you on Leading with Gratitude Live.
Hi, Chester. I'm so glad to be here. This is making my day today. I've been looking forward to this time with you for a very long time. So thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we were introduced by a mutual friend, and we spent an hour together, and being with you was just inspiring, the work that you do, and we're eager to dig into it. Now, from Soweto, that's called in from India, and Najam from the Sudan, and our friends from Westchester, PA, Courtney. Put your questions in the box. As we start to talk to Laura, you're going to have a bunch of questions. And when you do, we're going to curate those questions, and we're going to go to the Question Command Center in Wichita, Kansas, with the one and only Janice Perkins. JP, wave to the crowd. Always makes me wish I had more hair when I see her. So put your questions in the box. Now, listen, real quick. Your work really is beyond fascinating because you go beyond traditional medicine, right? So those of us that aren't as familiar with, and I want to get it right, holistic mental performance. Can you explain what it is and how it works and what you do?
Yeah, well, so I'm using a combination of energy medicine along with consciousness-based medicine. So basically, we want to think about ourselves not as a bag of bones, because there is a thing called quantum biology. So remember, Chester, you're not a bag of bones and muscles. So we look at the body as its experiences and its personality, because our mind really can create lots of dis-ease and discomfort in our body. So I'm actually using mind-body medicine and combining it with mental performance because it's kind of linked. And it's linked because it's linked with epigenetics, with our experiences, and our past failures.
I love your explanation of that because so often I think, particularly when we think of athletes, that we really do treat them as a bag of bones, don't we? With a bunch of meat on there too, right? And they've got
Yeah.
an injury, and we go to repair the injury. You don't just repair the injury; you want to get into their mental state. And I love the old Yogi Berra quote. He says, half this game is 90% mental, right? So how do
Yeah,
you
he's
go
one of my
about?
idols.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you delve into tapping into the mental energy to help athletes recover, not just recover from an injury, but to up their game and up their performance?
Yeah, well, part of the gift that I offer with athletes is that I have worked on my intuition. And the reason I don't say I have a gift of intuition is because everyone does. I've just worked on mine a lot. And I work on the five bodies theory. I'll make it quick because I could spend an hour lecturing on this, but I won't. So we have a physical body, an emotional body, a mental body, a supramental like our wisdom, and then we have the cosmic body or the bliss body. And this is part of quantum medicine. So I want the physical body to stop listening to the negativity of the mental body. So it's very intuitive. And most of us, if we have a negative thought about ourselves or an injury, it's not just in our body, but it's related to our mind as well. Or maybe it's like related to our spleen or our kidney. So a lot of our self-doubt hangs out in our kidneys. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but it's true. And when you work with an intuitive practitioner, they can help notice it. And then the awareness for the client is really the gift, the athlete to go, oh yeah, I never realized I had this deep seated thought of negativity or self-sabotage always at work inside of me. And so it works for the same for an injury as it does for an illness or for a mental block where someone's really not being their best because they have, whether it's from passed down from generations, you could talk about that if you'd like to, that's epigenetics, energy medicine, or if it's their own thought that they came up with in their head that has now created a huge wall in front of them. And now they put this wall in front of themselves and they can't get to the wall and they can't get over it because it's so big. It tells them they can't do what they want to do. It tells them they're not good and not good enough.
It's interesting. So you were a two-sport college athlete. So first off, you got to tell us which two sports. And did you start to realize this stuff? Yeah, as an athlete, did you realize this intuition and this higher level as an athlete in the sports you competed in?
Yeah, I did. So I had like a bad attitude. I was a bad attitude athlete. So I had such a bad attitude that I would like defy my ankles to get twisted. Like I didn't have an injury that stops me for more than a practice or two my entire high school and college career. I had this attitude like my ankles are perfect. Like they don't dare be injured with me as the owner of them. And the intuition and the connection was also there because I would notice I kind of could feel like if my coach was about to put me in, or I could notice if my teammate was going to pass me the ball. And I just felt like there was something different going on, but I didn't really know for sure. But I played basketball and I ran track. And in my mind, I still do both of those, by the way. Like in my mind, I'm still a two-sport athlete and I feel like I could run. Like I'm not going to test it, but I feel like I could run like a quarter mile in 54 seconds.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So much of our lives is mental, isn't it? How we feel about ourselves, how we talk to ourselves. Our show is all about gratitude, as you might guess from the title, right? I'm curious, what part does gratitude play as you're coaching up athletes to have a kinder voice, to talk to themselves in a way that's encouraging rather than deprecating?
Yeah. Well, one thing I like to do is explain to athletes the experiment that Dr. Emoto did with water, right? Where he put labels like "I hate you," "You're ugly," and then "You're beautiful," "I love you" on water, and then the crystals of the water were frozen, and he looked at those with a microscope and took pictures of those. And the ones that were told they were ugly looked very misshapen and they were not symmetrical. And the water that was told it was beautiful had this like snowflake like perfect qualities. So we know that we're what, 70% ish of water. So I love telling the athletes that, whatever you're saying to yourself is going to really matter. And also, like, one thing that's interesting to think about is like what I look like right now and who I am right this minute is what I was doing last year and 6 months ago. So I'm a physical impression of who I used to be. So if I actually want to make myself more attractive, stand up straighter, healthier, it takes today because I want to be kind to my future self. So I talk a lot about future self. Be grateful, be kind to your future self because your body can only last so long if you're playing with a chip on your shoulder. You have to start this heart-centered play, which is where gratitude comes in, right? What are you grateful for? Okay, for the athletes, dude, you should be grateful that you have a body in the 1% of the human race. I mean, let's just start there, right? Because not everyone could be an NBA player, sort of. Like, me, I believe maybe everyone could be, but we can be grateful for what's obvious. Like, if you don't know what to be grateful for, I'm grateful that I just breathed last second. So I have people start with the small stuff. Just be grateful for the smallest thing you can imagine, then grow from there. Because if you're not grateful, the universe recognizes that and it gives you less. Oh, you're not grateful for $100, you don't get more. You're grateful for a penny, she should have 100.
Yeah, yeah. I love that self-talk. I've done a lot. By the way, I've read that book about the snowflakes or the crystals, and it is fascinating. And it kind of plays into, when you talk to your plants. If you're nice to your plants, they flourish. If you're mean to your plants, they
Yeah.
they perish. Well, listen, we've got Marcia from Dallas, Ulysses from Mexico, Cameron from Pakistan, Mohammed from Saudi Arabia, and we've got a question, and it's a really good one. So we're going to go to the Question Command Center in Wichita, Kansas. JP, give us the question.
Hi, Dr. Wilde. The question is, how do you train athletes to take failures and criticisms and turn that into a positive?
Ooh, good question.
Ooh, I like that one. Okay, so the first thing I have athletes do is create a big, huge question in their mind so that they're not in their head, right? Criticism and fear and feeling like you failed, that's in your head type of stuff. I heard this thing today. This guy said, you were born an original. Don't die a copy. So the idea is like whoever you are right now, your stamp of approval comes from a higher source than a human being. So we can't care too much what humans think about what we do because we are actually not, at the mercy of what humans think about us if we really think about it. So with someone feeling criticism and failure, I like to have them find a new position. And in other words, get out of that quickly and go to the future and start to visualize with a big, beautiful imagination, visualize your success. And we also don't want to linger on criticism. I don't really believe in overwatching your failures. I mean, I actually don't like to watch any of my failures and really any of my past. I'm constantly focused on being in the present and dreaming big. And so I would have an athlete, first of all, be extremely grateful for a moment in the future. So let's say you have a game coming up in 3 days. I want you to imagine the end of that game and go through why you're grateful. Oh my God, I'm grateful that I scored 20 points or that I, kicked 2 goals or whatever it is. So use your future gratitude practice to create something bigger and get outside of your mind and ask a big question. Like, this is how you get out of your mind and into your heart and really out and open and expansive to the universal possibilities. So here's your question. Like, what is the nature of experiencing great success on the field or on the court? So what is the nature of experiencing great success on the field or on the court? Because then you'll start to get these little answers and little thoughts and things. And maybe you look up and a billboard says, smile bigger, run faster, or the billboard has the name of a store that you go to and you meet someone who connects with you. So if you ask a really big question, we know that the answer doesn't come from us. It comes from a higher connection, our deep within or source, creator. So when you ask a huge question, it actually gives you a fallback. So for me, I've had a really busy, crazy last couple of weeks trying to create a lot of things. And I keep saying, what is the nature of serving more people? So I take it off of me and I actually put it out in a bigger way so that I could actually recognize that I'm not just here to like worry about my own little things or failures or shortcomings, but I'm here for a bigger purpose. And so is every athlete, because you can really change the world just by playing and allowing your divine spark to move through you. Because your divine spark tells someone else they have one too.
I love that. I love that. Athletes, I think in particular, they talk about you got to kind of have a short memory. A short memory. Failures in the past, envision the better future. I love that. Ask the big question. It's funny, as you were talking, I thought, there's a great message here that you're not alone, right? That you can draw on the cosmos. You can draw on your friendships. You can draw on people that really care about you. And the person that should care about you the most is your inner voice. Your inner voice should be your biggest fan, right? I love that.
Absolutely.
So we're going to go to commercial here just really quick, because, one of the things that we love about our show is that people want to invest in themselves, right? To become better leaders, to become better people. Well, we've got an amazing offer for you from the Methods of Network, that if you want to take some online courses, and by the way, they're amazing. So you go to methodsof.com. And there's all kinds of courses on teamwork, on becoming a better leader. We've got a great course in there. And of course, you can save 50% by just putting in Gratitude 2021. Gratitude 2021 at checkout. You'll save 50%. Avail yourself of just some of the great minds, some of the great coaches out there to become not just a better leader in business, but to become a better person in life. Take a screenshot. You're going to want to go there. Hey, Laura, back to you. I know you've got like 1,000 success stories on athletes that weren't performing to their capability. What's one of your favorites, and how did you bring that athlete to peak performance?
Yeah, I think yes, there are so many. So one of my favorite ones, probably because it's recent, and I also have a short memory. So when it comes to things, so there was a guy, and sometimes I wish I could name the names, but I can't. But there was a guy, a very a top tier athlete, who was in a slump, like a big slump. He was getting made fun of on social media even. And some of these guys care. This is a heart-centered guy, right? It bothers him when people trash him. So I came up with this idea. I don't know where it came from. I always say I just kind of opened my mind and my heart, and there it was. And I said, okay, you're supposed to score 30 or 40 points a game, and you're only scoring, 12 or 7 or 5. And let's just imagine and visualize a 1,000,000-point game. So I had him, because I call this superhuman mental reps, right? So if you do a superhuman mental rep, that means most humans haven't done this, probably none have ever done this, and you play it repetitiously over and over in your mind. So I had him do a 1,000,000-point game. And I also work with athletes, and with the bubble and the NBA being shut down and people all playing in this one arena, I have been coaching up the NBA athletes that I worked with last season to create the home court advantage in their heart. So, hey, I want you to literally close your eyes and visualize before every game that you are at your home arena. And I want you to see the colors. I want you to really experience it and use your imagination. And this player scored 1,000,000 points in his training session. I made him an MP3 to get in the zone. And he went out and was on fire. And the whole team rallied around him, and they beat the other team. It was like one of the highest scoring NBA games. Like, it was crazy. It was amazing. And because he was in the zone, a couple of teammates were in the zone. And when you do that, you magnetize the energy around you, and everyone else in your space feels it. And you know how this works, right? You walk into a room. Some people walk into a room and light it up. So an athlete can do the same thing on the court. So my success story, I guess, is that guy, because he changed almost overnight to the point where he was being interviewed on TV about what happened.
Hopefully he mentioned your name and your website. So where do we go to find out more about Dr. Laura Wilde?
Yeah, you can go to lauramwilde.com. That's my website. But, really, if you want to actually engage, which I love, I have a rule that once a week, I make sure all of my direct messages on Instagram are answered. I used to say 24 hours, but lately it's gotten a little busy. So I'm Laura Mitchell Wilde on Instagram, and then I'm Laura Wilde on Clubhouse, my place that I hang out here and there and give talks about sports and athletics and stuff. So those places.
Awesome. Awesome. Hey, we've got some great questions. We're going to go back to JP in Wichita. She's got 3 great questions. So I knew this would blow by pretty quick. So we've got 9 minutes to go in the show. 3 more questions. Be concise, bring the energy, and let's go to Wichita. JP.
Okay, Dr. Wilde, William was asking, when you were talking about the failures and the negatives in athletes, how would that transition and translate into professional world? Or how would you someone looking for a job?
I want to ask if they mean looking for a job as an athlete or as a staff member.
As a professional.
Just as a, yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. So I do the same thing. I actually coach business people, quite a few, because you know what? Whatever an athlete gets, the top athletes, the business guys want that. So I have the top athletes ask a big question, like say someone's a salesperson. So I had them ask a huge question, like a real estate agent I worked with. I had her ask the question, what is the nature of being the best real estate agent on the planet? And show me in a way that I can understand. And she started getting these ideas and started building better relationships. And then I had her imagine selling, well, I think she was selling whatever it was, a house a week or something. I had her imagine selling 100 houses a week, so that she was just literally in her visualization, her hands got tired of signing contracts. So we really have to be kind to our future self and imagine it. Like imagine the future happening and see it, because you're actually going to create an imprint with your subconscious mind so that it feels like a memory, not a big overbearing goal. So make it a memory by visualizing it enough and ask that huge question and do your superhuman mental reps, and it'll change.
Excellent. JP, back to you.
Okay, Christopher wants to know, what's the new thing that you are fascinated by, Dr. Wilde?
Yes. I'm fascinated by the word impossible and the word fascinate, because the word impossible, I started to really dive into this. And I thought, well, because, I've always loved Alice in Wonderland. Sometimes I've done at least as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast, said Alice to the queen. And so that word, I'm like, not many things are actually impossible. What it is that they just haven't been done before. So with the superhuman mental reps, I'm coaching up athletes on impossible. And there's a book by Stephen Kotler. I think the name of the book is Impossible. I just ordered that. So I want to know what people think is impossible and where I can coach people to go beyond that. And then as far as being fascinated, I look out my backyard, because I have a new backyard. I always lived in an apartment. And it's like, let me be fascinated by the birds at the bird feeder. I went and bought bird seed for the first time in my life. I'm watching woodpeckers and little finches and stuff eat. I'm like, let me be fascinated by that creature and by that tree and that grass, because everything is energy and they're all alive and they care about me as much as I care about them. So I'm being fascinated by everything around me and recognizing that everything's energy, and we really get to create and co-create and influence everything around us.
I love that. Being grateful for the simple things. I'm with you. We've got a bird feeder, and there are times when I just want to sit there and just watch the birds. They're amazing. Hey, we've been dealing a lot. We're doing a lot of research on anxiety. In fact, we got a new book coming out in May called Anxiety at Work. And I know with athletes, let me hold it up a little longer. I know with athletes, they suffer from a lot of anxiety. So what do you do? And what are some of the things that you coach them about to deal with that anxiety? And are there lessons for just regular people?
Yes. So anxiety often is created from age 0 through 7, most of it. And it's a pattern that we have where we created PTSD. So that's why I'm so fascinated with the epigenetics energy medicine, because intuitively, here's a great example. If an athlete's constantly anxious and I do a session with him, an intuitive session, I might find out, this sounds crazy, but there are people who are like stamped scientists doing this work, right? So maybe, 6 or 7 generations back, his great-grandfather was an enslaved person. And the PTSD was created by that crazy life that person had. So I can actually help that person release some of that epigenetic marker of PTSD, because anxiety really isn't usually ours, and it never belongs to the present moment, right? Anxiety is about yesterday or tomorrow, never the present, because if we really just get present, that helps. And I don't know who knows this. I just discovered this recently, that if we feel anxious or stressed, the best way to shift it in our body is to receive one long breath. And I say receive a breath instead of take a breath, because the breath's been given. You don't need to go find it. Don't need to take it. Like you take a cookie from the tray, but you don't take a breath. You allow and you receive the breath. In one breath, our nervous system begins to shift. And that's why you stop and pause and receive a big, long breath. Sometimes it's hard. If we're really anxious, you can't breathe deeply. Just practice that. So I have athletes do the 1 minute, I don't call it an anxiety drill, but the 1 minute piece, the breath of peace. And a breath of peace can start changing everything. And you can actually, as you go further and you start to breathe like that, more laws of the universe become available to you. So even if you feel really distraught or stressed, like you can't go anywhere, that's not true, because one day of a couple of focused breaths and one day of visualizing a better future can actually change everything. It changes your cells and the environment and the energy around you.
That's awesome. We're getting great activity in the chat box. I love the proverb that said, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. The old African proverb. And, I love this. If you want to go far, get a great coach and look up Dr. Laura Wilde. Give us your websites again real quick.
Yeah, it's lauramwilde.com. And Wilde has an E at the end, much like Oscar and Stuart Wilde.
Excellent. And Instagram and Clubhouse and everywhere else, you're amazing. Hey, as we wrap up, I want you to tell us, what's the one thing you want people to remember from this conversation? If there's one thing you want them to remember, what is it?
I want them to remember to be grateful that we can breathe, because it is the greatest gift of our entire lives, the breath.
That's awesome. And we ask all our guests, #FindYourGratitude. What are you grateful for today, Laura?
Ooh, I'm grateful that I have a backyard that I can hang out in, and I have space and I have clean and fresh air to breathe, because not everyone does. So I'm grateful for those things that are sometimes taken for granted, but they're really a big deal, right? Clean air, beautiful trees, and a backyard.
Isn't it true? There's beauty all around if you just pay attention.
Yeah. It's
well, listen.
It's even in New York City.
Yeah. Even in New York City, that's right. Hey, listen, we're to our time. Stick around, because we want to talk to you on the other side. But I want to pull up a couple of things again. If you want a great production, you gotta call Brent Klein at Methods Of. Throw that up again, Brent. Here, he's got the phone number. He's got the website. If you want to put on a great online production, it's Brent at methodsofleaders.com, 512-639-2120. And don't forget, Methods of Leadership. It's amazing. Great courses by some of the best executive coaches on the planet. And if you just put in gratitude 2021 at checkout, you get a 50% discount. Well, listen, we are so grateful for Dr. Wilde. I knew it would go by quickly. And our last commercial of the day from our publisher, Leading with Gratitude. I love this book, said Ellen Mullally. Buy me, buy me, buy me. A subtle call out. Well, listen, we are so grateful for your time. We love all the questions that came in. We love our gratitude community that we've got here. You're making us the #1 gratitude broadcast on LinkedIn. We couldn't thank you enough. Well, we've got a tradition. We're going to bring you back here, Laura. We dance it out at the end. We're grateful you were here. Be kind, be grateful, be of service. Bring up the music, Brent. We got Christy Lawrence. She's in Atlanta, Georgia. We got JP. She's in Wichita, Kansas. We got Laura. That's right. Hey, I am one of the worst dancers in the world, but we're having fun. Our host, Brent, he's in Austin, Texas. He's got hot water. He's got light. He's living the dream. Join us again next week. We love our community. Be grateful. Be kind. Be of service. Thanks, Laura. See, Laura's got moves. Laura's got moves, baby. See you next week, everybody. Cheers.